Imagine yourself standing on a field in a forest, overlooking the sea. It's an early spring morning. The snow hasn't totally melted yet from the winter. This could very well be the scene a Proto-Indo-European would have woken up to. But what kind of person would this be? What did he own? How did they see the world? A lot has been learnt about the Proto-Indo-Europeans simply from the reconstructed language. Firstly though, if you haven't watched part 1 of this video, because this is technically a part 2, it's right here. I suggest you might want to go and watch that first. Oh wait. As there are so many topics I could start with, I'm going to just pick the material world. So the things they owned, the things they grew in their fields, the animals they had, the level of technology they possessed, those kind of things. So what kind of level of technology did they have? Well, the Proto-Indo-Europeans appear to be some kind of early Bronze Age culture that lived in a forest on steppe land, as in expansive raised flat land. They also had plenty of domesticated animals, as well as crops. In fact, the animals seem to have been a very central part of their existence, because the word pecu is both the word for livestock and the word for wealth, so which would suggest the more animals you own, the wealthier people considered you to be. And there appears to be some kind of hierarchy as well, because chois were sort of the least valuable animals, and the most common animals for the rich people to own would be a walrus, whilst the super rich would own hekwoses. They have plenty of crops as well. One example would be bachres, which they used to make medhu. But of all the inventions they had one very important one that is rather key to working out who the Indo-Europeans were. This notable invention is the chariot. The chariot, which appears to be called quels in Proto-Indo-European, which happens to also be the word for wheel, comes from the Caspian steppe and was invented about the time the Proto-Indo-Europeans would have existed, if we use the 6,000 years ago mark as it exists. And archaeologists have found chariots in this region for this date. In fact, that is one of the reasons why this area is considered the birthplace of the Indo-European speaking world. Although it would appear that the Proto-Indo-Europeans didn't have horse-drawn chariots. They were probably more like semi-wagon-like objects that were pushed by hand, and horses were used as pack animals. Beyond the material possessions, there is much to be learnt about the Indo-European mentality as well. One example would have been the view on trade and possessions. Words like nem, dechwa, and kaber all point towards a rather, we would consider an odd thing to have in a culture, but I guess it isn't that strange if it is already part of your culture. Take nem, for instance. In English, it has come to mean to steal, as in the word nim. It's apparently a word in English. I've never had to use it, but it does exist. Whilst in other Indo-European languages, it has come to mean different things. For instance, in Greek, it means to allot, which is a form of giving, and in German, it has come to mean to take. This could look odd until you consider this idea of mutual gift giving, which does exist in some cultures. The idea basically works like this: I will gift you something, and you will gift me something in return. They will be roughly equal value, but it will be considered as gifts, not a kind of trade. And the language shows that this had gone to a point where two individual parts of the event, i.e. me giving you something, you giving me something, had totally vanished from the mindset and was simply considered one extended process. And archaeologically, this does seem to exist. A lot of the European cultures of around 3000 BC seem to have actually used this concept in their everyday life. Other aspects of Proto-Indo-European culture can be inferred as well, such as the fact that the society seems to be ordered in tribes or villages, and at the head would be a chief or a king. And the society itself was also ordered into a kind of caste system, with common people at the bottom, with warriors above them, and then priests at the top. The chief/king would sort of sit slightly out of the system as a special case. Of course, there would also be the gods, which don't even count as part of the caste system. There is, in fact, enough words to also judge the Proto-Indo-European view on women. I'll give you some words: spekurios, divers, gielvos, snusos, and wedmo. These words are all different words for in-laws, as in what you call your spouse's family after you're married to them. So in English we have words like mother-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, whatever. But in Proto-Indo-European, these words all refer to the husband's family. So husband's mother, husband's father, husband's sister, or husband's brother. Or they refer to the husband's wife, so son's wife, brother's wife, that kind of situation. This is very suggestive that after marriage, a woman would go and live with the husband's or the husband's family. This on its own isn't necessarily really pointing at anything until you consider wedmo. This means dowry or bride price. Remember Nem and Dechwa and Kaba and all the other words like that? It is very likely that the Proto-Indo-Europeans were extremely patriarchal. I could go on for hours about the Proto-Indo-European view on society, their culture, the material world, the physical world they lived in, and all that lot, because the language is so well reconstructed. But I'll cover one last major field for now, and that is their religion. Unlike other aspects so far, a lot of the religion has been reconstructed out of descendant religions rather than language, because the language doesn't actually tell us that much about the religion, but a lot of the descendants shared similar-ish beliefs. So, what does this religion look like? Well, it is extremely polytheistic, so it has hundreds upon hundreds of gods for every aspect of life you could imagine. But they did have, like all polytheistic religions, major gods and lesser gods. Most of the major gods happen to be male, which is not really a surprise. These would have included Diawospychta, Perkunos, Chepomnepot, and Pechuson. But there were also some important goddesses as well, like Dechnu and Prechach. The Proto-Indo-European mythology also loved twins. There were 3 twins in the mythos. The brothers Manu and Yewo, the horse twins, who were the sons of Diawospychta, and the god Mechnot and the goddess Sechul. Of all the gods though, Werinos is probably the unluckiest one out there. He has to die, usually sacrificed, and then get reborn every year for all eternity to allow the seasons to happen. Apart from the gods, there were also powerful spirits and demigods, although the demigods could have been heroes, such as Yewo and Manu, and they played a key role in religion. They are what are described as the culture gods. They taught humans about culture and skills and other arts of civilization as it is described. But they also generally provide a helping hand to people, such as travellers and anybody that's praying, really. Core to the religion, there was also this sort of divide between order and chaos, and that order was what things should be. The religion worked on the basis of conducting animal sacrifices to the gods, as well as other lesser offerings and prayer. There were also, of course, priests and possibly temples. There are also several legends that are known for Indo-Europeans as well, for instance, such as having to fight a serpent that's going to destroy the world, a flooding myth, and a lot of myths involving gods dying. But one of the probably best known-ish ones is the Indo-European creation myth, which I'm going to now read out for you. In the beginning, there was only the gods and the great empty sea. Then came the brothers Manu and Yewo. To show his devotion to Diawospychta, Manu sacrificed his brother Yewo to him. From Yewo's head, the heavens was created, his body all the lands, and the plants, animals, and the humans themselves created from Yewo's hair. Yewo's soul passed on to the underworld, where being its first inhabitant, he became the god of the underworld, and to his day he continues to guide new souls safely into the underworld. Manu, on the other hand, taught the humans how to pray, conduct sacrifices, and to show their devotion to the gods. He also taught them skills such as farming and herding. He himself became the world's first priest, and went on to live forever,